very much, everybody.
And talking about almost everything we can think of, and we share a lot of jokes and ghost story. Thank you for being here and being with us, and so kind of you to come back again today to be with us at this auspicious day of Thara Puja, and we request Rinpoche to share something with us about Khenso Rinpoche, who is also very dear to us and has been very close to many of us here, and maybe talk about how to live life happily and self-purchase.
Thank you so very much. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming here. I'm very grateful for all of you to come here and hear me speak my small mind, my small suggestions and small thoughts. I don't have much to say, but I would like to start first of all with some gratitude. So we have a roof on our heads right now with many sacred objects. So the possibility to have this occasion in this space is very special. And many people have been involved in order for this to be able to happen. So I would like to ask everyone for a minute of silence in gratitude to everybody that's been involved in finding this place, financing this place, redecorating the place, and maintaining the place. And of course, Isela, and that will give teachings here and helps everybody throughout their lives every day. So a minute of silence where we actually feel the gratitude of this gift. Thank you. Not too long, otherwise people would. And so anyways, so first of all I wanted to talk about the importance of gratefulness. Everything we have every day is due to something that happened from before and from now, right? So even if we start with our body came from our parents, so this number one reason to be grateful is our parents' love created us so that we can be here today. And also gratefulness to be able to have the contact and the connection with the Dharma. Because there's so many people in the world who are completely lost and they are suffering, whether it be a physical or mental suffering. And we, on the other hand, don't have so much physical suffering because we live in a very nice country. Malaysia, from what I've seen, is not like some other countries where there's war or there's famine, you know. etc., which is happening every day. So for that we should be very grateful to have a normal life. If we think about the animals, for them what is the most important thing? Is to be able to survive. In order to survive, they need food. They need a warm place at night. And they have to be safe from other predators who can eat them or kill them. So the same way the animals have that suffering, there's also human beings who have that type of suffering in other countries, in other places. So we should be very grateful not to be going through those situations and to actually have the opportunity to wake up in the morning and have a life where we can do what we do, what we choose, and not something that has been imposed from outside. So that is why it's so important to be conscious of this opportunity that we have every day of living, of being able to breathe, having the choice of what we want to do in our life, and to be in contact with the Dharma, which is what helps us from the suffering of the mind, which is very different from the physical suffering. The physical suffering can come sometimes from the mind. We can create a cancer, for example. We can suffer from the mind, and then that will expand to the body, and then we can have a sick body. So it is so important to take care of the body, because that is our vehicle, and that is what we have from the moment we are born till the day we die. And we are born alone, and we die alone also. So this body is the gift that our parents gave us to experience this life. So if you can every day, be grateful for that. Because there are many people who don't have this opportunity. Even drinking water is so nice. Cheers. So, I wanted to speak about Laman Hundrup and what a great human being he is, he was, and he will be. Laman Hundrup, he was one of the main people who was able to make Kopan what is today. Most of you are familiar with Kopan, right? So this, the organization called FPMT started in Kopan. And from Kopan everything happened. Everything expanded from there. So Kopan is like the birthplace of all FPMT centers. And the person who kept Kopan alive was Geshe Laman Hundrup. So he was an amazing, amazing person. He was so humble. When you looked at him, you wouldn't imagine he was such an amazing person, because he would never show what a good practitioner he was, or the pureness of himself. I had the luckiness. I was lucky enough to meet him when I was very young. When I was like 4 or 3 years old, I don't remember. But every time I met him, it was a gift. I would be joyful just being near him, because he would always be laughing. Just being near him would make you laugh, even if he didn't say anything. And as we know, he passed away last year, and luckily I got to see him again one last time before he passed away. And it broke my heart to see him in that state. He was suffering so much, but he never mentioned he was suffering. He never expressed his suffering. So we are very lucky to have had the chance to meet him one time or another, and we have now the opportunity of seeing his relics and coming in contact with the relics, which is an amazing gift for everybody who's going to be here when it arrives. When are the relics arriving? 10th of November.
I'm only on the 8th, but that's okay.
So I recommend for everybody to come to visit and see and pay their respects and make their prayer, because he was very amazing human being. He was very, very special indeed. So, thank you, Ramanundu. Thank you very much. So, today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about happiness. Yes, this is something everybody knows, but it's something that we don't all experience. Maybe we do experience in short moments. So the concept of happiness, it's actually something that all human beings have always had. Basically, happiness, if I make a short definition of happiness, is the result of being satisfied with yourself. When you do something that fulfills what you want to do, or what you feel is right, or what you feel makes you joyful. In other words, not unhappy. Because many times unhappiness may start in one moment, but after that moment, that concept of unhappiness is gone. And it is us who prolong that unhappiness. We keep it continuing. Right now, if I'm unhappy, next moment is I'm a different person, because we're changing continually. But it's my mind and it's my ignorance that keeps it going. So from moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, sometimes even months and years, people are unhappy. But the original moment is just one moment. When is that? This something can happen from outside, or maybe we project a certain expectation, and that expectation does not reach what we want, so we are unhappy. So basically, unhappiness starts like that. It starts from one moment. Of course, there's other different types of unhappiness which comes from outside, like losing a very good friend, or maybe having physical problems. But always unhappiness can be changed. Because unhappiness originates from a perception, from the concept. It's a concept. It's not a state of mind, actually. Because if it was a state of mind, it would continue forever. So it's like it's our mind who creates this feeling of not wanting to be the way we are at that moment. So for example, there's a saying in English, it says, the grass always looks greener on the other side, even though it's green on our side. Why is that? Why does that happen? It's because we compare. Comparing is something very normal for everybody. But if you think about it, you cannot really compare anything, because everything is completely different. You can go to the sea and look at the sand, and each grain of sand is completely different from the other ones. But they're all there. There's so many millions, billions, trillions, gazillions of grains of sand. And each of them is unique. Because when you hold one in your hand, you're holding that one. You cannot hold the same one 2 times. It's like the river. When the river flows and you stand in the river, it's continuously changing. It's never the same water. So it's a little bit like that. So that is why we cannot compare. You cannot say, oh, that person is wiser than me, or I am wiser than that person. Because each person has their own wisdom. So of course, there are people who have a wisdom which is very, very special, which can help other people to find that wisdom. But ultimately, the wisdom is inside. It always is inside. Each person has to find their own wisdom. Dharma helps people to find their wisdom. That is why sometimes some people, they get lost, because they think Dharma is their wisdom, which it is in a way. Of course, it is wisdom by itself. But for it to become an experience, like the wisdom inside wisdom, then we have to understand it and find our own wisdom through this. It's like a light that shines and helps us to find our path. But ultimately, the one who walks the path is yourself. Not the teacher or the Dharma. It is yourself who has to walk that path as an individual. So sometimes that is why it can create some confusion, because you search outside. And the more you search outside, the further away you are from yourself. So the key to happiness is not to be unhappy. And it's much more simple to see it that way. Because if you go after happiness, it's going to be so difficult to find it. Because you're searching outside for something that will make you happy. But it can never make you happy, because happiness depends on yourself, on the way you see the world, the way you see your life. So the first step would be, try not to be unhappy. It's much easier. Right? When you see, oh, I'm unhappy, oh, maybe I should not be unhappy. Why am I unhappy? Search why. If it's something very serious, it's normal. It's samsara. We are all in samsara. So unhappiness is part of life. Just like anger and jealousy, selfishness, and, all these things that come together with what we are, that create unhappiness. They are part of us. And when we are unhappy, it's because we are not in control. We are slaves of our emotions. So how to try to control this, or try to be aware of these emotions? How to do it is by observing your own mind, observing your thoughts. How powerful are the thoughts? We check everything that has been created by the human being, starting from our clothes, to the shoes, to the telephone, to the table, to the roof, to the house, to the buildings, the planes, the cars, all of these things that have been created by the humans, which is not nature itself, it's not natural, it's been created by us. It all started with a thought. In order for it to happen, there has to be a thought. Without a thought, it cannot be created. That is how powerful the thought is. That is why you have to be very, very, very careful of your thoughts. And sometimes when you have negative thoughts, you have to observe and understand why and where and how they come. Because if we don't understand that, that's where we fall into unhappiness. That's where we fall into suffering. For example, sometimes, whether we like it or not, we judge people. Because of their actions or because of what they say. And it's something, sometimes we cannot help it. We judge it, it's automatic. So it's okay to judge as long as you don't condemn. Because everybody's changing constantly. So today I may be a bad person, but tomorrow I may change. So you always have to give them a chance. So try not to judge, because we don't have the right to judge. The only right we have to judge is ourselves. That is the only thing we can actually really judge. Because we are the only ones who really know ourselves. Nobody really knows ourselves as we know ourselves. The same applies to everybody else. So that is why if you want to judge yourself. That is number one. And if you're going to criticize, especially your brothers and sisters, you have to be aware that when you criticize, you're harming yourself. You're not creating any harmony at all. You're just hurting yourself. So that is something very important that we should keep in our mind. Because sometimes it can be interesting, oh, this person did this, that person did that, blah, 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 blah. But actually, number one, check yourself. Forget about everybody else. That is their problem. That is their business, their job. Your job is to check yourself all the time. That is the most important thing. So number one, try not to judge. Number two, try not to criticize. Number three, try not to compare. Because when we compare, we suffer. Even sometimes when you look at the mirror, at yourself, you always see your defects, right? I think everybody does that. You always see, oh, I have a zit here, or my eyebrows are strange, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too fat, or whatever. But this is all a concept. I'm sure other people that see you don't see the same things that you see in yourself. You know why? Because we always compare ourselves with other people, with how we want or we think it should be like. But actually, everybody's unique and everybody's beautiful in their own way. So for example, I like to use examples a lot, you know. Maybe sometimes they'll take a picture and I'll see a picture of myself and I'll be like, oh, I'm so ugly. Oh, I don't like myself at all. You know, like, oh, I don't want to look at the picture. Like that. And then maybe 3-4 years later, I see exactly the same picture. And I'm like, wow, I'm so handsome. I'm so young. Wow, I wish I was like that again. You know, now I'm changing, you know, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because I'm judging myself now. I'm comparing myself now with how I was before. But the picture is exactly the same picture. What has changed? The way I see myself. So that is how we create our reality many times. That is something we have to be aware of, you know. How we create our reality, how we change it. Because the picture is the same, but what I see is different. Same thing when you buy something new. You buy it, you think you're going to be happy, right? So you may be happy for a while, right? You take a shopping bag, you get to home, you're like, wow, I bought something new. This is feeling, right? All the new stuff, whatever, or the dress, or this, or the laptop, or the phone, or whatever it is. You feel like this feeling of, you know, like excitement, you know. And then you get home, so excited, you open it, then you start looking at it and you start seeing defects, you know. Oh, maybe it should be like this, or this is wrong, or this, oh, no, 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 no. This is all the mind doing all these games with you. And then, after maybe 10 days, you get bored. Already you're looking somewhere else. Oh, maybe this phone is nicer, this is more practical, or this dress is nicer. And you put the dress in the wardrobe and maybe you won't use it again. But the dress is the same. The same dress that created that excitement. The same dress that made you happy for a moment. So anyways, yeah. Anyways, I think we all go through that because we live in a capitalistic world. The society is educated to believe in that way. So it's normal. But if we check, we will see that all we need to be happy is the basic things that animals need to survive, which is food, water, survival, you know, like a warm place to sleep in, a safe place, a roof on our heads, a nice bed, and maybe friends, company, you know, basic things. Those are the basic things that can make us happy, you know. Everything else, which is not necessary to live, is just extra, you know. We think it's important, we think it's necessary, but if we really think about it, is it necessary or not? That's where the actual tricky part comes in. Because each person is different, so each person has to see what's necessary for them, what's useful for them, you know. Maybe what's useful for me may not be useful for you, or maybe what's useful for you may not be useful for me. So it's all changing. That's why we're so lucky in the Dharma. There's so many different options, so many different ways of understanding for each person. Each person is different, so each person has to find what works for them. Doesn't mean everything will work for everybody, you know? So you just have to know yourself. You have to listen to yourself and say, okay, this works. So you take what works for you, but what doesn't work, you don't need it. Maybe somebody else will need it, of course. So I'm just saying my thoughts, you know. If you feel it's useful, then take it. Otherwise, just leave it. Yeah? Sometimes I believe, you know, something today, tomorrow I believe something different. Why? Because we're all changing. But it's important to be open to new ideas. But you always have to feel what really works for you, and then you keep that. I remember when I was 13, 14, suddenly I started thinking, wow, am I Buddhist? And then I started investigating. Why am I Buddhist? So then I realized that I didn't quite understand Buddhism yet. There's many things I didn't understand. So I realized, I said, okay, maybe I'm not Buddhist. Because Buddhist is just a concept, Actually, to be a Buddhist is the lifestyle. Of course, taking initiations, going to teachings, reading Dharma books, meditating, analyzing, all of these things are part of being a Buddhist. But altogether, what is the most important is everyday life. How you live, how you treat people, how you relate to people, how you treat yourself. In order to love people, you have to love yourself first. You have to treat yourself with respect. And then you can treat everybody else with respect. But first you have to start with yourself. And each person is like that. And that is, for me, I think, is Buddhist. It's when all those things combine, and every day you're aware of your actions, aware of your thoughts, in a very positive way. And happiness sometimes is like something we're going after but we never find. Why? Because it's something that comes momentarily when we are satisfied with our actions, or it's temporary. Only some people really experience happiness as a state of mind, and that is when you are free from all these samsaric, thoughts and happenings. Which, of course, I can't really explain yet, because I'm in the process of becoming Buddhist, and I'm very interested in Buddhism, but I'm limited still, So we are so lucky to have Gisela, yes, and of course, His Holiness Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and all the great teachers that we are able to listen to. They will really, really help us to succeed in this mission of understanding ourselves and being free of this slave mind, that completely keeps us stuck in a place. So, where does happiness come from? It comes from satisfaction. And where does satisfaction come from? From helping. When you help yourself, you help people. Helping yourself doesn't mean buying a new iPhone. Helping yourself means loving yourself and treating yourself with respect. And then you can do the same for everybody else. Through there you can find real happiness. Through there you can find real satisfaction. For example, in everyday life we always encounter situations where we can help somebody. Even if it's a smile, even if it's just a hello, or a how are you, even a hug, or just the feeling that you give to the person, that is enough to help them. If someone is low, someone is unhappy, and you go to them and you talk to them, are you okay? How are you? That is friendship. That is what friends are for, is to help each other. And then, maybe someday they will help us also in the same way, when we are in the same situation. I know sometimes when we are depressed, it's difficult to smile, but sometimes it's good to make a sacrifice with our ego and try to give the best of us. Sometimes people are depressed and they're like, oh, I'm so depressed, I'm so depressed. They keep going down, 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 down. You just get into this mentality where you just completely destroy yourself, because you get obsessed with this painful feeling. You prolong it for a long period of time. And then when you see people, you feel uncomfortable, you get angry, you want to be far away from people. Why? Because you're not comfortable with yourself. So then you have to observe, why am I not comfortable? Why am I suffering? Why am I like that? And then when you observe, you check deeper, 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 you'll find that the real reason is our ego. Me. I. And that is the main cause for our suffering. So when we think you, him, them, we forget about ourselves, automatically happiness comes. I don't know if it makes sense. I'm just talking. So I wanted to talk about unconditional love because I think it's a very important factor in happiness. If it doesn't make sense, please just tell me, okay? Say, hey, but explain better, or this doesn't make sense. So unconditional love. Unconditional means without conditions. For example, in order for unconditional love to happen, there has to be space. When there's space, then you give the space for that to happen. You can't force it. Love is everywhere, right? Like the song says, love is in the air. It's true, you know. Love is everywhere. You know, love is life. It's the same thing. The real unconditional love. So many times we confuse love with attachment. Attachment is based on our ego, on what we want, on what we think we should have, or what we need, or how they should treat us. That is not real love, that is attachment. Unconditional love is when you don't really care about yourself so much. You care more about other people's happiness. So I don't really want to go very deep into that because it can be very complicated and can create confusion, because also I'm learning. So this is like a little bit of what I understand. But through that selflessness, then we can give the space for unconditional love to appear, and from there we can be happy, or at least not be unhappy, which is easier to understand. So I wanted to talk about also harmony. I wanted to thank the harmony that we have, you know, in comparison to many other places in the world. You know, there's lots of war and famine. There is no harmony. You know, like people are scared when they go to sleep because they don't know if they will wake up again. We have harmony. Even the silence is harmony. We are so grateful to everybody who has been involved in the center from the very beginning. This is the fourth version of the center. This is the fourth building, and finally now we have this opportunity, this space, and every single person that has been involved is so precious to us. You know, we should feel so grateful to everybody that has been involved here. Forget about the past, whether it's good or bad, you know. Today we're here. That is the most important thing. And how do we come here? Thanks to all these people who have given the time and the energy and the dedication for us to have this opportunity. So through that we can really continue the harmony, which is so important, especially in the Buddhist center. If there's no harmony, then it's very difficult to really practice Dharma. If you want to practice Dharma, then you have to check yourself and create as much harmony as you can. Everybody, all of you, we are all brothers and sisters, you know. So, you know, it's sad sometimes when there's disharmony in the Buddhist center, you know. It's actually, I'm sorry to say, but it's ridiculous. There's already so much war and problems and things happening in the world, you know. Even the planet is suffering so much, you know. Why here? We are trying to change that. We're trying to create a harmonious, you know, energy. So it makes no sense, you know, to continue this negative energy. I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying, you know, because it's our mission is to create harmony. If you believe in the collective memory is like all of us together, we create a certain like omnipresence, let's say, or you can call it God or karma or evolution or nature or the universe. You know, there's so many names for the same thing. But we are, each of us, we create part of it. You know? So if I'm negative, I give negative energy to that collective memory. You know, so each of us, we're responsible to the energy as a whole. So we have to really, really try to give our small piece of love, our small piece of harmony, you know, so that everything slowly, slowly, slowly becomes more harmonious. You know, each of us counts as an individual. We may think we don't count, but actually each individual is so powerful. We actually create, you know, our reality, and we influence other people's realities also. So that is why it's so important, starting from here, from each individual, to slowly, slowly expand this energy. I really want to thank all of you, because truly you're all great practitioners, and you're all here, and you're interested in Dharma. Why? Because you're searching for something. And your search is inside always. And Dharma will help you to find that. So just the fact that you're here means a lot. It means a lot. So we're all very lucky to be in contact with the Dharma, because the Dharma will help us to find that. So, so my last words is just be true to your truth. Because I cannot come and say, this is my truth, you can take it. Because this is my truth. It works for me, but it doesn't necessarily have to work for you. You know? So each of us have to find your own truth. You can check this, okay, this, that, blah, blah. And then you say, okay, this is nice, this works for me. Okay. So then you take it. This maybe doesn't work so much, okay, so not necessarily. Like that. So I'm not saying this is the truth, this is my truth, and I'm sharing my truth. And all of you, you should find your own truth. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. I think we're going to have questions and answers. Please don't ask very difficult questions. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hello there. This might be the beginning of a few series of questions.
Okay.
First of foremost is, since you have disrobed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so which is more appropriate? Lama Osel Rinpoche or Mr. Torres?
I prefer just Osel.
Okay, that's
Osel.
awesome.
Thank you. But
Okay.
my true name would be Tenzin Yusel,
Okay.
just given by His Holiness. And my surnames from my father and mother would be Ita Torres. So it would be Tenzin Yusel Ita Torres. But you can just call me Yusel. Thank you.
Just introduce myself, I'm Clarence, by the way. One would be, do you think that your religious responsibility towards other beings have changed since you disrobed? Is there a different dimension of how you look at things?
I don't really know what my responsibility is. I think my main responsibility is to take care of myself and be aware of myself and just try to be a better person every day. That's basically my responsibility. That's what I feel.
But do you find it difficult when people still perceive you as the person that you used to be?
Yeah, it inflates my ego, so I have to I have to fight with it every day. But when you like, you know, show respect, sometimes it's bad for me. So I ask, please don't do that. Yeah.
Many things have been happening. The destruction of the Buddha statues in Afghanistan, images of Buddha on beer mugs and slippers. So many things have been happening which conventionally we say sort of show disrespect, if you like, for our faith, our belief system. So this leads many people to believe that Buddhists are passive. Buddhists are passive, and that's why these things just continue and they escalate. So I wondered if Rinpoche could give a reply. Are Buddhists passive?
Well, I think it's good to be passive sometimes, even though sometimes it's necessary not to be passive. Depends on the situation, the circumstance. It's very circumstantial. But usually, sometimes, when other people do negative actions, it's actually their problem. You know, it's their karma. And if there's anything we can do, we can try to help them understand or be more conscious of their actions. But if we can't really do anything about it, it's not really our problem, you know. It's something, of course, that saddens us very, very much, it breaks our heart. But it's something also that's part of the world today. You know, the world is in total ignorance. You know, we're in the dark ages. So it's up to us to, as an individual, to put to the collective memory our energy, so that slowly that expands. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that some scientists did some experiment, some island somewhere, where there were many monkeys. And in each island there's families of monkeys, groups of monkeys. So let's say, I don't know, maybe there's 100 islands, for example. So in all the different islands, they used to give sweet potatoes. And then they throw the sweet potatoes in the water, and then they throw it in the sand. So the potato is full of sand. Yeah. So then the monkeys, they would eat the potato, but it would be full of sand, right? So very crunchy and very uncomfortable for the teeth. But they would eat anyways because it was very delicious. Yeah, maybe they were hungry also, I don't know. But anyways, the point is that at a certain point, there was one monkey who discovered that if he cleaned the potato in the water, there would be no sand. So then this monkey, he showed it to his family members. He said, look, you see, I washed the potato and there's no more sand. So look, you can eat the potato without sand. So slowly, all the monkeys in that island started to clean the potato in the water. And around when maybe 100 monkeys started doing that, suddenly all the monkeys in all the islands automatically started doing that. We call it the 100 monkey syndrome. It's like when the same kind of race or the same, same species. Yes, when the same species reach a certain point of understanding or of consciousness, automatically you affect everybody else. That is why it's so important individually to work on ourselves, because we will affect eventually the whole planet when we reach a certain number of people. So let's hope it happens soon.
Just wondering, young people are finding studying Latin and memorizing and all this are like tradition. How do you attract young people to learn that?
First of all, I want to say tradition is very, very, very important, because tradition comes from very far away. People practicing and understanding and discovering, through generations, they have come to this point where they make it available to us. So tradition is so important. Why? Because it's the experience of millions of people throughout the ages that have all come together and is here today. You know? So, of course, it's difficult sometimes for someone who's an atheist or agnostic scientific, spiritual agnostic scientific, you know? I would call myself a spiritual agnostic scientific in the process of becoming Buddhist. I'm trying very hard, slowly. But it's difficult, you know, when you're atheist or maybe your family is from a different religion, or when you're young, you know, and what you really care about is, you know, something right now, you know, a result. I want result now, not in 10 years, not in 50 years, I want now. So sometimes it's hard to give that when people are so impatient, right? Because as we know, we have to go step by step. We can't go to step number 10, you know, because we're not Hanuman, you know, we're not like Spider-Man, you know. We have to walk one by one. So for young people, sometimes it can be hard to understand because they think, oh, it's just words, it just doesn't mean anything. But actually, the meaning is so profound. The more you recite, the more you read, the more understanding it comes. Not only that, even if you don't understand anything, there's so much blessings because it's based on so many people's experience. So automatically, the blessing from all those experiences happen. Actually, it's my mission to try to help those people, to introduce them to Dharma. And that is why I say I'm in the process of becoming Buddhist. So that they can try to understand also that maybe being a Buddhist is not so important, but being a good person is. I think as long as people put in practice, being a better person, they will find more satisfaction and more happiness in their life. And through there will be an introduction to Dharma. And maybe one day, slowly, through the films, and that's the main reason why I went into the film, to study, cinema and documentary, is to reach those people who are non-religious, people who would never go to a center, people who would never pick up a Dharma book, people who would never meditate or listen to teachings. Those people, we can reach them through maybe a movie, and even if the movie is very neutral, at least the seed is there, and that is like a window as an introduction to Dharma. So of course it's up to each individual, but I think it's good to be open, to new ideas, and not close yourself and say, oh no, it's religion, I don't want to know anything about it, because then that's being very short-sighted, narrow-minded, because some people say ignorance is bliss, but I don't know if that's true actually. Does that answer your question? Kind of?
I have a basic question. Today, in the environment, in the religious environment we're living in, especially extremism and fanaticism, in the world with people pushing forth their religious agendas with violence and various forms, suicide bombings and wars. Can generating the seed overcome all that? Will we survive in the face of onslaught of this?
We are surviving every second. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's why we really have to work hard on today. Yeah. And I believe slowly, eventually we can affect the collective memory and help people to be more conscious of their actions. Because I think nobody really wants pain. Nobody really wants, people to hit them or, hurt them. I think that is universal. So when these people who hurt other people, they start to be more conscious that what you don't want, you give to other people, then you create the cause for that same thing to come back to you, whether you want it or not. So slowly, I think if, as each individual works with themselves, we can really affect the whole. And I really believe in that, because you can see it. Even, for example, in your family, you can start with your family or with your friends. And you can see how automatically that will affect them in a very positive manner. So try not to do to other people what you don't want them to do, and try to do to other people what you want them to do to you. So in that way, we generate like this habit of offering what we would like them to offer to us. So it's like a vice versa kind of thing. And slowly, hopefully that will change. But since the ages of the human being, we have always been very destructive. We've always had that, factor of violence. It's part of the human being. So it's very sad, of course, but hopefully that will change soon. If we project it, if we visualize, then we create more cause for that to happen.
So just one more question from me. This is regarding to the traditions and the collective memory. Because you said earlier on that tradition, right, is created due to the previous actions of, in a way, people many years ago, the ancestors. So you can say that the thoughts of what they have previously collected into the collective memory of current.
Yeah, you could say that. I don't know.
I
I don't know about that. But maybe. Yeah, probably. Because, yeah, why not?
So, okay, so like, because you said that we should appreciate tradition because it's experiences of many past people, so in a way, it's the previous collected memory.
Yes.
But then you also said earlier on that the collective memory can change because the way that we imprinted ourselves, and then the new thoughts that comes in, they will, in a way, possibly be different frequency or the same frequency as the previous collective memory. So what if the previous collective memory was actually a negative imprint and was traditionally, but may not be correct, like what people do may not necessarily be right, or what they're doing may not necessarily be right either. Like, so how can you negate that, in a way, paradox?
It's a very good question, actually. First of all, I think the collective memory has been... the collective memory today is based on collective memory throughout the ages, I believe. I mean, it's a very good question, actually. But as you were saying, of course there's negative collective memory and positive collective memory. But if you think about it, the universe, if you believe in the theory of what's his name? Stephen Hawking, I think. It's like the Big Bang, right? So it's like an expansion and contraction. Yeah. So right now, supposedly, we're in the expansion process of the universe. So it's expansion and contraction. Two things, right? And then when you think about it, our heart also is expanding and contracting. Every 2 seconds, maybe. Boom, 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 right? That's what keeps us alive. So it's like duality. Same way, day and the night, female and male, good and evil. You know, it's something, it's like two faces of the same coin. So, of course, you know, we may think, okay, it'd be awesome to just have positiveness, just to have good, you know. But it's something, I think, is part of life, because through darkness comes light, right? When you light a candle, you cast a shadow, whether you like it or not. So it's something that comes together. And as long as we recognize it, and our motivation is pure, then we are on the right path, right? But I think the dualities will always be there. But it's up to us to work on that, you know, to try to keep on the right path, you know, based on what we don't want to be done to us, which would be the negative part, of course. So I mean, it can be very complicated. And of course, I'm learning, as we all are. Even the day we die, we're still learning. So it's good to be open to new ideas. Of course, try to be a better person. That's the most simple way I can put it, you know. And the bad people will always be there, whether we like it or not. But through darkness, light comes. You know, it's something that both of them need each other. You know, I think. I don't know. This is my tomorrow maybe I change my mind. But I think it kind of makes sense in that way. I don't know. It's getting complicated now, right?